While I typically like to remain positive in our videos, today I want to talk about 6 mistakes that are preventing your student from winning free money for college. Because there are things that students can do that might seem obvious, but you would be amazed how often we see this happen that can really disqualify them or just completely eliminate any opportunity for winning money for college. So in today's video, I'm going to share again 6 mistakes that students embarking on the scholarship journey make that hurt them when it comes to getting debt-free money. Now make sure you hit subscribe because every week we have a new strategy to help your family work towards that debt-free degree. Hey there, my name is Jocelyn Pearson, founder of the Scholarship System and Debt-Free Degree Lab, our 2 programs to help families build strong financial futures rather than ones where they're paying on decades of student loan debt. Now, scholarships are our bread and butter. In fact, I got 6 figures. I literally got paid to go to college, and we've helped families secure over $13 million to date. So we have seen a lot when it comes to applying for scholarships. Also, through the scholarship system, every summer we give out thousands of dollars to our own students. And so, as you can imagine, we have seen a ton of applications. In fact, just 1 year alone, we had nearly 1,000. So we've seen a lot of mistakes. We've seen a lot of great applications as well. But I think that if you can use some of these tips, then we can certainly increase our chances, which is what the scholarship system is all about. Okay, we are going to dive right in. The first one is not applying. That might sound obvious, however, I find a lot of parents can think that their student is applying, but then when they actually ask them to see the applications, there really weren't any submissions. So this goes for both scholarships as well as grants as well as FAFSA. This is pretty much the biggest mistake that families can make. And a lot of times it's not necessarily even that they didn't want to apply, but maybe a neighbor or a coworker told them, oh, don't waste your time. And if I had listened to that, I, again, would have missed out on 6 figures in scholarships. Now, even FAFSA, we met a family that missed out on $17,000 per year through the university because they didn't submit FAFSA. So even if your family is not necessarily low income and makes a moderate amount, we still want to submit FAFSA. I have a whole FAFSA playlist for you if you need any tips there. All right, mistake number 2 is procrastinating. The early bird gets the worm. Now, that also said, I'll talk about when it's too late or if it's ever too late. But that said, if we could, we really want to start this process by junior year or junior summer, no later. The reason is that actually fall semester has a ton of deadlines. Most students wait until spring of their senior year, and by then they've already missed tons and tons of deadlines. And also then they are competing when everyone else is competing. So it's just naturally more competitive. There are more deadlines in the spring, of course, but the earlier we start, we can really fine tune those materials. We can get materials that we can just reuse. We can even get materials that can be used on the scholarships, but also for admissions. And we can build that list of scholarships so that we don't miss precious deadlines. In the scholarship system, we have tons of suggestions about how to find scholarships that are legitimate, when we should be doing that, and how to organize them. So if you want to attend my free webinar, it's about an hour long. You can go to thescholarshipsystem.com/free training or click this video. You can also find the link to all the resources in the description, including that link to my free webinar, but make sure you check that out. Now, I will say with procrastinating, sometimes parents think it's because their student is being lazy. A lot of times it's actually because they're overwhelmed. This is why the scholarship system works and why our students have such higher success rates than an average student, because we break down the entire scholarship process into a step-by-step system that they can follow. So they don't have to worry about just, hey, go apply to scholarships. That is so overwhelming to them. Instead, they say, okay, just go do step 1. All right, now let's go do step 2. Now let's go do step 3. And by the end of it, they have applications submitted. So getting down to it, if you really want to help your student get over overwhelm or procrastination, they're probably feeling overwhelmed. So helping them break it down into little bite-sized steps can probably increase the chances that they actually submit, which fixes number 1 and 2 on this list. You can learn more about the scholarship system at thescholarshipsystem.com/info, our online course. The third mistake, and this is a huge one, and again, this is where that free webinar really can help, is applying to the wrong scholarships. And I can speak to this from personal experience. My first year, so I did follow my own advice. I started junior year in high school applying for scholarships. However, I didn't know what I was doing. And I was applying to later what I found out were scams. They were not legitimate scholarships, or some, we call them sweepstake scholarships, where it's just drawings. But ultimately, they were ones that I had zero chance of getting any actual money from them. Now, I'm going to link to another YouTube video called Don't Get Scammed, How to Identify Legitimate Scholarships. You can watch that video. Again, that'll be linked in the description, or you can click it here. But that'll help you identify legitimate ones. Because the thing is, I've met families where they say, my students submitted 50 scholarship applications and they didn't win anything. How are you guys going to help us? Is it really possible? And 9 times out of 10, when I say, well, let me see some of them, a large majority of them are these sweepstakes or drawings, the ones that are based on luck. I have been doing this for 10 years professionally, and then another 4 or 5 years personally. So 15 years in this world. I have never seen anyone win those. Okay. So I know that everyone says, well, someone has to win them. I don't even know if someone really does, or if they're just collecting info. But in the end, a lot of times, if your student's telling you that they're applying and they're not hearing back, you may want to take a look at what they're applying for. That's why actually that training is geared towards parents, that you can attend it with them. Now, not only do we want to avoid those scams, but we also want to make sure that we're actually eligible. So if your student is applying to a scholarship, they have a 3.5 and it requires a 3.9. Unless they want to reach out and see if they can make an exception, pretty much they don't meet the requirements, so we don't want to apply. So that's another thing. We don't want to waste time on ones that we don't meet the criteria. All right, mistake number 4 is not taking the application process seriously, or just kind of whipping it together last minute and submitting it without anyone reviewing it or anything like that. You might think, well, why would they do that? But we actually received a scholarship application once where under the essay, the response was a smiley face. I wonder if the student is saying, look, mom, I submitted this scholarship application, and literally they just submitted a smiley face. So we also want to make sure that we're actually taking this seriously. Your student will not win money by luck and lack of effort. It does take work. That is why it's so rewarding. If it was easy, if it didn't require effort, everyone would have a free ride. So I'm not here to tell you that it doesn't take work. I'm here to tell you that with our system, it can take a lot less work. But that said, if a student's not really committed to it, it's not going to work. All right, mistake number 5 is not applying year round. So one of the things I mentioned earlier is we really want to start early, but the good news is that there are scholarship deadlines all throughout the entire school year. So even into the summer, for example, in the scholarship system, we give out scholarships and our deadline is in July, and it's for money for that fall. Just, we choose our winner and then 2 weeks later, I'm sending the money out. We do that for students that need that last minute push, but we're not the only ones. So that said, a student can and should be applying all year round. And going off of that, they also should be applying all throughout college. So it's also a mistake to just stop applying our senior year in high school. We've had families where senior year in high school, they were told, oh, don't waste your time on scholarships, and they didn't. Then they found us, this one specific family that's coming to mind, they found us June after her high school graduation. So she was heading to college that fall, started the scholarship system. By the end of her first year in college, she had over $15,000. Now she's well over $40,000. They continued on applying. Imagine if they just quit after senior year, never started after high school. She would have missed out on tens of thousands of dollars. So that said, we apply all throughout the year. We also apply all throughout college and get more and more money. Last but not least, and this is one of the biggest mistakes, is not proofreading. So I really recommend having parents. You should be checking the scholarship applications before it's submitted. If you don't feel qualified, have your student have an English teacher, an English professor, or maybe one is in literature, something around that topic, and have them get their essays checked. Even when we make minor tweaks, say we can reuse an essay, minor tweaks should be reviewed by someone else. In fact, actually, I find that reusing an essay often leads to worse mistakes because we're used to seeing that essay. So we can easily overlook mistakes because we're kind of skimming because we know we're familiar with that essay. So we want at least 2 sets of eyes on everything before we submit it. The other thing that we can use here for an extra check is something called Grammarly. If you go to the scholarshipsystem.com/Grammarly, Grammarly, we'll put that link in the description. There's a free version that you and your student, you can just paste the essay in there and they'll check for some of the most basic errors. If you want to pay for it, they'll go even more in depth, more into sentence structure and more sophisticated corrections. So comment below, is there anything that you and your student have fallen prey to? Let me know if you're willing to. And do you think there's any mistakes that I missed that you've seen hold back your student or students around you and your family? Let me know in the comments. I'd love to hear, and that way hopefully other families can avoid making these mistakes. So that said, scholarship money, debt-free money is of course the best money. It's money that we don't have to pay back. But there are some things that students do, and I often do, that I've seen that really hurt their chances of receiving money. So we don't want to do that. So make sure that you're paying attention to these 6 mistakes. Make sure that we are putting systems, maybe the scholarship system, into place so that we don't fall prey to them. And make sure that you hit subscribe because we have a new strategy for paying for college every single week. All right. Again, if you want to learn about the scholarship system, attend the free training, if you want to check out the other videos I mentioned, all of those resources will be down in the description. I'll see you in the next video.